Here we go. Hello, hello. G'day. Stu from UAVFutures here. Welcome to Happy Flying, the greatest live stream on the internet, at least in the top 15 anyway, if I do say so myself. We're going to be talking all things FPV, but I do want to go through before we get stuck in and discuss some of the latest happenings with our drones. I just need to do a couple of quick audio checks. I know we do this every single time that we start, but it's good because I don't want to just be sitting here talking and you guys can't hear me, so please let me know that. And YouTube was being a little bit weird this morning, so I'm not too sure what was going on. I'd started my live stream and it said yes, everything's going well, but over on the YouTube side of thing it said excellent condition, but no picture was coming through. So I don't know what that was about, but it's great to see you guys piling in here. Let me know. Other people saying Johnny DRC, of course, he's always first and foremost, the first one in the stream. Huge shout out to him. I saw his picture he posted over on the Discord. Looked like he was doing a lot of flying. Had a lot of stuff set up talking about that latest battery video. We also have, let's see, we've got Juiced here. He's saying Super FPV Sunday. First live stream of Joshua, then Cody, then Madtex, and now I'm here. Well, here we go. It is Monday morning in Australia, so it is 10 a.m. where I am. I'm in Queensland, which is a long way from where I used to live in Australia. But yeah, wherever you are, whether it be the nighttime, the evening, or if you're an Aussie here or a Kiwi over in New Zealand and it's the morning, I want to say thanks for tuning into the stream. This is Happy Flying, episode number 29, if you can believe it. What started out as a bit of a goal of 10 streams, we are here now, 29 episodes later. It is the best part of my working week, and it is where I get to connect with you guys because I truly mean this. So make sure you listen to this part because this is important. Talking to you guys and you being here in the stream, it's important. And I just want to let you know wherever you are that you are valued and you're special. And I really mean that. Thank you for tuning in. It's making my day better. And hopefully you can get something out of this stream as well. So I love doing it. I still get a little bit nervous, believe it or not. There is a big difference between if you think you feel strange. I've got my GoPro rig set up right here. If you think you feel strange trying to make videos and record and talk to yourself like this when you're standing in the park, you wait till you've got to do it live. I don't know what it is. It puts a little bit more pressure on here. But let's jump in. I'm going to tell you what is coming up in the stream. And also, if you've been flying around, if you've got some questions, I want to know, what are you doing? Because this goes both ways as well. Have you got some new gear? Are you excited to jump in and try? You're one of those people who's flying every day with 04. Maybe there's been a heap of snow. Maybe it's been too windy. Maybe you have had the perfect, absolute perfect flying conditions. You've gone out for a pack or two, or maybe you've been stuck in the office or inside working all weekend. Let me know what you guys have been up to. We're going to go through a couple of these chats in just a little bit. Someone saying, this is very kind of you too, Trey, is saying, I love your streams. It's the best part of my week as well. So yeah, cheers, buddy. I'm just going to take that sounding like you're being sincere. I think you are. If you're not, well, thanks for the kind words anyway. But yeah, it is a great part of my week. What we have coming up in today's stream, it might be a little bit shorter than usual because my mother is coming over and she needs to borrow the trailer. So I've got a trailer here. They want to take some stuff to the dump. And I was like, okay, yep. So I might have to give them a hand at some point, but we should be pretty much on point anyway for our usual stream. But if that happens, that will be why. If I get a message and we've got to cut it a little bit earlier. Now, the things we are talking about today, we have the first one. We're going to be talking about, like, obviously we talk about mental health throughout this entire stream because it's something I'm a big believer in, and a lot of people out there in FPV, there seems to be some correlation between flying and some people struggling with their mental health. So we'll be talking about that a little bit. We're going to be talking about, does FPV suck? Like, sometimes it can really feel like that when things aren't going right and things are crashing and there is so much learning, and how without those lows, we're not going to be having those highs that come with it as well. So that's a bit of an important conversation, that it can really feel very, very daunting when you're first getting in. And I still get those feelings sometimes when I'm trying to set things up. I'm looking at you, TBS, the Mojito wing, because yeah, things haven't been going well on the wing front. We've had lots of crashes, lots of held up pretty well, but I can totally understand. So if you're watching this and you're feeling a little bit bummed out, how you can watch some videos and be like, these people are having an awesome time. It looks so easy. Just bind your radio up, just do this, doop, doop, and it's done. But you're sitting here for weeks at the computer, emailing, looking at schematics, trying to get through that. Don't worry, I've got you. We're going to be talking about that a little bit. We have, I guess, our first little look. This turned up. So this is, I think, This is the from Darwin FPV, and I could be wrong here. So I don't think I've ever reviewed a Darwin FPV drone before. I know there's been so many of them, people smash them out every single week. That's what it feels like. This one's going to be made for the 04 Pro. You will notice there is no camera in this version. So I'm hopefully going to be building this with an 04 Pro when that turns up. But we're going to be talking about that a little bit. I'm not too sure on the price. We'll have to investigate a little bit. I had a search in the catalog of DIY FPV, and it was coming up with like the 35s, the Cineape 35, but not, and also the 25, but not the 20. We have something about like VT, a bit of troubleshooting over on DIY FPV. Speaking about that, actually, we're going to be helping somebody and some very, very strange issues. And I don't worry, I'm going to get that all those comments. So if you are typing, I am going to be reading these out in just a little bit as well. I do truly appreciate that. Yeah, someone is having some crazy issues with one of their VTXs, and I might need your help to sort of find the solution, because it's either broken or it's very, very strange. We're going to be talking about beginner pilots as well. So if that is you, I have a video to show you, and you will see exactly why FPV is no joke. Like this is the biggest lesson you can learn in FPV. So for a newcomer or you're just getting into the hobby, stay tuned, because I have some big lessons that I need to share with you. We're going to be talking about these bad boys as well, because believe it or not, I see some people not recommending these, and they say, hey, get the Generation 3s as well, the Goggle 3. But for me and my experience, we're going to be talking about the N3 goggles. They're not perfect, but I tell you what, I am kind of a bit of a fan. There's some things I would obviously love to change. I'm going to show you a little bit of more detail, a bit of a pre-review, because we've got a video coming out this week on that as well. Which sim? I know we're getting some new sim questions, checking through the comments and that sort of stuff as well. People wanting to say, which one should I get? I can only afford one, so we'll need to be answering that. I'm probably talking about Uncrashed, and as well answering any of your questions that you have. So let me catch up on the chat before we jump in and talk about our first topic of like, does FPV suck? Like, what is with those days when nothing is going right? We got King in here. He's saying, what's up, Stu and chat? Let me just scroll up a little bit. I don't think I've ever had so many comments. Actually have to double check through. All right, let's see. 2 days of snow and freezing rain. I've been better. So that's from Newt. Trey is saying, what's poppin'? So yeah, we're just talking all things FPV. Sunday, more FPV streams than the bar men's room. Okay. And Happy Flying RC is tagging me saying, at UAVFutures, I look forward to these streams. Thanks for the hard work you do and dedication to make it happen. Don't get nervous. We're just an RC family. Yeah, people, I don't know what it is. I do get nervous until the camera's rolling, and then the nerves subside a little bit. I guess it's like a bit of computer anxiety, hoping that works, and just I don't know, making sure that everything runs smooth, because you put a lot of effort behind the scenes, and then sometimes things are out of your control. So I don't know that's why we have this computer. It's meant to be doing some good things, and it has held up pretty well. I probably have to like re-thermal paste it. It has been a couple of years. I just don't really want to take it apart to do that when it is working. But sometimes that happens as well. Oh, actually, a bit of a side note. So I have a really old computer, because for FPV, you don't need the latest and greatest computer at all. I had like an old computer downstairs, like where I do all the filming, just off to the side. And that decided to actually blow up like last week when Stickman Steve was over. So yeah, I got to get another solution for that, because running up here to the editing computer and then back down, especially if I'm trying to film something, can be a huge pain when you're running through like configurators and Betaflight and all that sort of stuff. It is really nice to have a dedicated, just really budget PC down there that I use. But anyway, I've got to get that sorted. Okay. Someone's saying, been watching your content for about 5 years time now. Thank you very much, Newt. How long have you been flying for? Too windy outside for me. He's just going to be whooping. It's cold. So that's from L-Fans right there. It is very warm here in Australia, although it's been a little bit windy in the last couple of days. But last week, our weather was absolutely mint. So we did so much flying. I did so much filming, so much testing. And I can't wait to show you guys the videos that we've got. Hopefully they've been coming out now. I think we just released the battery video Like, I don't think YouTube really liked that one, or maybe you guys didn't like that one, but that was about like flying with this portable battery. You might be able to see it behind me, actually. If I can get, this is like right in shot here. There it is, like this is weird. Just there. So I've been using that a ton. A really, really cool little, but probably expensive FPV accessory. Some people asking about the Mojito, and let's see. Someone saying, yeah, I'm on my third live stream as well. JB Mads and UAV. Yeah, there's a bit of, I guess there's a fair bit of knowledge between those three. Like FPV has so many useful, great, awesome channels. So I chimed in on MadTech's stream. I always check that out. JB's stream, I sometimes check. It depends what time, which one, because JB has like a European and an American one. He does some awesome stuff as well. But let's answer this question right here. So this is from Frederick Grimes. I need a PCB board for Cadex Vista, the one with the USB on it, but I can't seem to find one. Any luck by chance? What board is this? Let's have a look. So, man, that's expensive. I'm jumping over here. So if we just look in, this is what I always, and it's not only because I built this site for you guys. I use it all the time. But over on DIY FPV, I don't know why this is so expensive for a defective one, $109. Do you mean this board right here? Is that what you're after? Or is it something else? So let me know, Frederick. Do they even sell Vistas anymore? Let's go on back a bit of a way. The Neb, this one here. That might be just the camera, actually. Let's have a look. Okay. I didn't even know these were still around. That must have made an awful lot of these. Let's check some of these out. So it's all about the same price. Let's have a look at Pyro Drone. I don't think you're going to be able to find like the separate component. I would have a guess that all of these have been put together and there's not really any spares. Any spares that were made have probably already been pressed into like their final form, shipped out, and they're in the FPV stores like that. So yeah, my advice would be if you're trying to track one of these down, I don't think that that's going to happen. Just trying to catch up here. Someone's saying I got a Vista in my baby ape. That's from Johnny DRC. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find any spare parts for the Vista. I would, unless you find someone who's like selling one secondhand, but the units or like a smashed one. But I don't know how many people keep smashed components after a while, especially when it's about 7 years since this released. I don't know, when did the Vista release? 7 years. Maybe not that long, maybe 5 years ago, but we are so far past that now with the latest generation. It was basically once the 03 came out and then Cadex started making the walk snail. This is sort of what kicked off the hatred between Cadex and also DJI, because Cadex was making these for DJI and then they separated their systems, and there's got their pros and cons. But I mean, now we have the walk snail system, at least gives us some more options, and maybe indirectly, if you are somebody who is appreciating these little things, so the 04 lights and that sort of stuff, I'm telling you right now, we would not have them without Cadex's competition. Even though this is doing a better job, I believe, than the Cadex systems, you wouldn't have these DJI VTXs, the latest generation of 04 with all its features, without the pushback from Cadex and Cadex stealing a little bit of their market. All right, I can see Kiz is here as well. He's saying you always say that about the Onways, and funnily enough, I just got a pair. The HD0 VRX doesn't work well on the Skyzone O2s, so I just got a great deal on the HD0 VRX and the Commander V1s. So that's for $150. I really miss my on-way commanders. They don't make them anymore. I'm pretty sure. For anybody who doesn't know, on-way commanders back in about like 2016 were my goggle of choice. This is at a time when the FPV market was monopolized by one company. That company was called Fat Shark. I don't even know if they're still making like current generation. Probably not. But everybody, their mum and their dog and their dad, they flew around with Fat Sharks. And I feel kind of proud that when I flew the on-way goggles, I was like, why aren't more people talking about this? And luckily, I had enough of an audience to give other people an option, maybe force a little bit of innovation, or just upset the scene a little bit, so then people could have a cheaper choice of goggles. And I really liked the Onways. I think they were fantastic. And my favorite part was just how like light and compact they were. They didn't have the biggest field of view. They didn't have a receiver bay module. Like there was a lot of things that they needed to change. But the Onway commanders were pretty good. Let's have a look. Let's see. No, let's look at Onway. Yeah, they don't even have the V1s anymore. Let me know if you've ever flown with Onway commanders. Let me know. This is the V2s. This was sort of the last time. That was a pretty decent goggle, but also they were a lot more expensive than the V1s. One of the great things about the Onway Commander V1s was like they were just a very well priced value goggle. They remind me a lot of maybe like what the Cadex box style has, like the Goggles L, just for what you get for the price that you're paying for what you're able to do. They didn't have all the bells and whistles. It was the same thing with the Onways. All right, let's do that. Someone saying I loved my V1s, and then say, hey, can you put a walk style Moonlight into a 3.5-inch build? Yes, but you can. It's just not going to be pretty. Like that's the thing with those larger air units. They're a little bit like here. This is the same size. So this is when I say same size, this has the Moonlight in here, but like it's the same size stack as this has the O3. It is the same size stack as the Moonlight. This is a pretty small craft. Like this might even be 2-inch. Like you can do it. You're just going to need to find the right frame. So that's what it's about. And just remember that little bit of extra weight as you go up in size, like a 4-inch, you could create an amazing craft. As you go down, you're going to suffer more and more from the weight and just having to have those extra, like the extra carbon and the frame sizes and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm getting distracted right here. This is the first thing I want to talk about that I have on my list anyway. So much for being a bit of a shorter stream. So you guys are putting the questions in here, but FPV can really suck, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and you're like, is this hobby for me, and what can you do about it? And if you've ever wanted to jump into FPV and you're like halfway through that journey, but you're just not having a good time, I'm here to tell you that that is all part of the process. For like a bit of a personal recount for me, the last 2 weeks or so, I've been building one of these. So Stickman Steve and myself, we have been flying around. This is the body of the TBS Mojito, and we've been learning iNav, and it has been really soul crushing, even for me as a content creator, someone who lives and breathes FPV, to go out all the time and you're ready. I know what FPV is like, and people starting at home, beginners, will be seeing videos and they're like, I want to do that. And I've seen this wing fly. I've seen this wing fly. It is great, but we have had, I just want to put it to the side so I don't break it. Hang on. Last thing I want is my chair to crease any of it or bend it. And we have had like 3 failed launches trying to learn iNav. We had some problems with the TBS Lucid stack, which is inside, which is a pretty decent stack, but it does some really strange things when it comes to walk snail, and both of those using like getting the OSD. So we've had to like go to the local hobby shops and solder on some strange little resistors, which has been taken care of. Like that's only because I have a pre-release version of the TBS Lucid. But like we've been going through so many issues trying to get this flying, and I'm really relating to you out there. If you are in this hobby and it is not going the way that you want it to do, I do want to say it gets better. you will have those times when after you will do all this learning, and it is so much work. The barrier to entry is the biggest limiting factor of why we don't have more FPV pilots today. The usability is absolutely terrible, and it's my job to make it better for you guys. That's why I do this. I try to make content so people can learn and make informed decisions on not only what to get to fly, but also how to fly. And I just want to say that it does get better. You will have those times when everything feels like it's not going right. But when it does, and this is very important, stick with it because you can do it. It is not complex most of the time. It is just not easy to ingest all that information and then put it together. And you're building an aircraft with some crazy technology that is doing some really, really impressive things. If you look at what you are taking a bunch of components, you are learning to solder, you're putting them together, you're possibly doing some programming or typing some weird things in a CLI on Betaflight, trying to get like your VRX tables or something set up. You're learning about UARTs. You're installing things. A lot of these pilots have never even used a computer before when you have to say, hey, just go into Betaflight. Okay, now I've got to go to GitHub and download some strange software onto my computer and run the configurator. And then I'm going to run another one, which is like ELRS, and learn how to bind that up and put that bind phrase on my radio. And now I'm connecting to Wi-Fi on a smartphone. I'm 70 years old. I never had to do this back in my day. We just put like a crystal in the radio and we pressed go on our planes. And then now let's start with our digital system. Like, okay, well, let's put that in. I've got to bind that up. Is that on the same version? Where's this firmware? I need to update that. Oh my gosh, this is too much. What channel do I use? And now I'm in the field. I've learned all about battery and lipo saving, lipo charging. We're in the field, and you do all that. And then sometimes you might crash, especially if you're a new pilot. You're going to crash straight away. I am just here to say, after all that, it is worth it. You will have an awesome time. It is an amazing, life-changing hobby, and you will never look at the world again without thinking about FPV, because that's what it's like. When you actually things start to click as well, and you start flying around, and you are everything's working. You've got it all it's kind of doing what you want, but now it's just your brain that is not doing the right thing. When you got your hands on the sticks and you're trying to fly, when that clicks and the drone starts going naturally, and it feels like the same as if you were just walking, and the drone is going where you want it to go, that moment is such a special time that when that does happen to you, and I'm telling you it's worth it, please remember that. I remember what it was like for me when I was actually, man, I'm flying. I'm actually flying and not just stressing out. I can do this, and it will be worth it. You're gonna meet awesome people. Real hobby that you can transfer these skills that you are learning to so many places. Like I can see Paul. I always forget what you want me to call you as your nickname. I can see Jean in the chat here. I was sending him some messages over on DIY FPV to get him learning to get up with one of his first flights, and it was a bit of a pain. We were like trying to flash things and learning about UARTs and Mobula 8s, but we got there. And I want to say congratulations, because now I'm seeing his flight videos. I'm seeing a lot of snow as well, which kind of sucks, but it will be worth it. That's what I'm trying to say on this huge rant. If you are struggling with FPV, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you can't do this, I'm here to say, yes, you can. Soldering is intimidating, but it's not hard. Everybody can do this. And I think my 7-year-old daughter, with my guidance of saying, okay, this is what you need to do, this is your next step, she could actually build her own drone. That's given me some really good video ideas, actually, just saying this out loud. But she could do it. And so if a 7-year-old kid can do it, there is no way that you can't do this as well. So I'm just here to offer a bit of support. Yes, it can suck. I relate. I know what it's like. I still go through some of those days, like trying to learn this wing and get things working. And you can waste an entire day, launch it, and then watch it explode 50 feet in front of you in the field and be like, man, back to the drawing board. Let's do this again, because I'm here to say that it gets better. So just a little bit of a motivational speech there. Someone's saying, you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, there is. There's a chance you guys can get flying. You can do it. All right. Someone's saying, say Jeff. Okay, there we go, Jeff. JF equals Jeff. There we go. So yeah, Jeff, shout out to him as well, because I've been seeing some of his flight videos. Okay, let me just catch up a little bit after I got a little bit too passionate there, maybe about like talking about the positives of FPV, even though it can be difficult. Someone's saying, why didn't you get a Speedy B F405 in relation to what Johnny DRC? And for analog, and Miss J Tank is saying, for analog, I picked up a secondhand Fat Shark HD2, great for whoops. I think it's not. Think I'm stuffed now. I haven't flown the 04. Well, don't feel any FOMO. Here is I feel we're gonna segue into this actually. Let's talk about this. Yeah, good idea. So if you're jumping into FPV, you might be feeling FOMO. You're seeing everybody talk about the 04 Lights and the 04 Pros, and should you upgrade? Which system should you get? Here's a bit of a pre-review on the cheapest way to have a look at the 04s. So that is these right here. So these are the N3 goggles. They bind up to the 04 air units. As of the time of this, I don't think they bind up to the 03s. Like if that happens, it's going to be a great day for a lot of people. Now, these goggles, they're not perfect. You can see, you're going to see a video coming out, like the full review of these. However, I think if we have a look at the price, here we go. If we have a look right here over on DIY FPV, 200, like 220, 200, here we go, $230. I think that's got to be, yeah, we're still in USD right here. So if you haven't checked out DIY FPV and you want to find the cheapest place to get it, go do that. But yeah, these goggles, I have to say, I really, really like them. Now, they are going to be nowhere near as good as the 03s. In terms of the generation, the Goggles 3, I should say, my mistake. The Goggles 3, they're amazing. Marry that up with like an 04 Pro, you're going to be having an amazing FPV experience. But if we look at the Goggles 3 here, let's see, this might just be searching within the category. This is a significant price difference. So you are looking at like, I don't know why Rhoda Village seems so cheap. That might be without taxes. Everywhere else is sort of like out of stock as well. So, okay. Yeah, very, very expensive versus going back to the N3, significantly cheaper getting these. So if you want to jump in and have a look at what the latest digital is like, I think the N3s are not a terrible option. Now, there's definitely some limitations. Something I don't like is this battery on the back. Because it's not replaceable. I thought I saw a comment when someone was saying these just clip out and you can replace your own ones in. Now, I do not think that is the case. I could take it apart. There is some screws here on the back. I don't really want to do that. That's my biggest limitation of the goggle. And also they only do like 60 frames or 60 Hertz on the LCD screen that is in here, which is a bit of a shame because you can get like 100 on the little 04 air units. Now, the things that I really like, and check this out for a picture. So here we go. The second handsomest man in FPV. We've got Stickman Steve right here. So when they're sitting on your face, the goggles, they sort of slope down just a little bit. And because it's like a periscope design, that means you actually have a longer like focal point to look at rather than it just being straight out. You get that like hypotenuse, if we're going to be talking like, I don't know what the actual mathematical term is, but you have a longer focus distance. By the time it travels, the vision goes out from your eyeballs and then reflects up into the screen in the top of the goggles. I've never had less eye strain on a box goggle. These are the most comfortable in terms of my eyes when I'm actually looking into a box goggle, and also extremely comfortable on my face. So when they're sitting on there, they do balance really, really well. They've obviously put a lot of time into designing this, and a lot more comfortable than, say, the Goggles L, which would be the other one that people talk about when we're talking about digital. The Goggles L, I really like them. There's some definite pros and cons with that system as well, but as it stands, I really like the Goggles N3. Now, they're not going to be for everybody. In terms of glasses, both are a very, very hard sell to try to fit them in. This is a little bit bigger. But that doesn't mean that you have more space in here. I feel like this wraps around your face a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you want to try digital, we've never had a better time. And I've seen a lot of videos where people say, hey, if you're getting the 04s, just get the goggles 3, I'm kind of not on that train. I think that if I was coming into the hobby today and I wanted to upgrade and I'm worried about like what am I actually missing with the FOMO, $200 or $230 for a pair of the N3s, I think is extremely good value. Now, I don't know, it's just my 2 cents. It'll be really easy for me to say, hey, go buy the Generation 3s, but they're like out of stock everywhere. What did we say? What was the price of these again? We've got a Canadian shop. Let's have a look. Rotor Village. Okay. Oh, this would be Canadian. That's why it's saying that's what that price discrepancy is. If I turn this back to US, let's see, 486. Yes, look at that. Look at that for some coding. Shout out to the DIY FPV team for making everything easy and comparable right there. So I freaked out for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like if you were coming into the hobby today, what system would you get? What do you think about the N3 goggles? You're going to see the video coming out soon. I really like them. Of course, they're not perfect, but they're also not insane money like that people can't afford. If you want to try FPV, digital is a real, and I'm saying this, a real value option nowadays. Not budget, value. And I think the value for digital FPV has never been better. I just need to put a little quote right there. If I ever wrote a book, that'll be on the back that's the chapter of February 2025. Digital FPV has never been better value. All right. Let's have a look here. Next, we are going to be answering some questions because I forgot to have a look at some of these guys where I got on a little bit of a rant. Definitely not is saying I just can't hate the weight of the N3. I just can't hate the weight of the N3 on my face. I'm not sure if that's meant to be a double negative right there. Like you're saying I just hate the weight of the N3 on my face. Is that what you mean? Or you can't hate, which means you love the weight of it on your face. I'm not too sure what you mean. For me, I thought that would be an issue as well. But you'll see in the video that I release later this week, it's really surprisingly comfortable. Surprisingly, and when we take it off as well, it has really good light. Like there's not much light leakage, and it's really apparent when you take them off. You almost like feel like you're looking at the sun because it has really blocked out so much light. And amazingly, when it's sitting there too, I don't have any big red marks on my nose, like which is where a lot of the other goggles will sit. So I do really like that. And you'll see that when Stickman Steve takes the goggles off as well, how that goes for him. Let's see. Then definitely not says, I do agree that the N3 is a good goggle for sure and quite versatile, but one of the 2 or the Integra be better option for compatibility? Well, I guess the big one about this is you have to think like moving forward with what DJI is going to release. You don't want to, I would not like to buy an older generation. That's a really good point. Should I just buy some older goggles? I would not like to buy an older generation of DJI in 2025 with the uncertainty and the hope that they make things compatible in the future. So maybe if they release some new products or new features, things like race mode, right? You can do that on this. You can do that on the Goggles 3, but I don't think you can do that on some of the older goggles out there. So you're sort of limiting yourself, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I think in 2025 DJI, the N3s are a good choice over, say, the CADX value option, because the walk snell system is an older generation of goggle, and it's playing against something which is like and I think the DJI, the N3 on a technical point of view is a better goggle, but you are also up against like something that is brand new current generation versus something that has been around, a system that's been around for, I don't know, almost a year at this point. Okay. There's just an announcement from HD0. Let's see, can you send me a link or an email to that, Chris? That would be handy. I'm going to do a little bit of Google. We might check that out. If it's a big announcement, could be something really, really cool. Breaking news. It's fun. It's challenging. It's a turning point. I hope analog survives. I think analog will survive. There's too many cameras and goggles out there for it not to be. It's too easy to make an FPV system as well that's analog, and you have to say, I do not like what FPV drones have been turned into in a lot of places of the world. They're definitely not for the hobby, but they are going to be using a lot of analog systems. So that market is still, people are still going to be making analog systems, and we just get to, we're gonna be buying a small percentage of that. So it's not disappearing anytime soon because of those conflicts. And Morton is saying, if I was starting from scratch, I think I would be buying the HD Zero goggles. You have the option to use the Walksnail VRX and an analog module. All right, DJI is the best picture quality, but the worst ecosystem. And that's another thing too. There is no perfect goggle. Like each ecosystem is very different. The thing that I don't like about HD Zero, unless we're getting an amazing email that I'll check in just a little bit, and I could be eating my words right here. We'll find out together. Unless you love racing, I don't think HD Zero, like HD Zero is expensive. Maybe that's changing. And the picture quality, like it just looks like, a Stickman Steve likes to call it spicy analog. Like it doesn't look that much better unless you're really concerned about latency. But the picture that you get from Walksnail and DJI is head and shoulders above HD Zero. HD Zero is just like the best analog you've ever seen, whereas the other two are like watching like the old Generation 1 GoPros or something that you would, that's what you're streaming back. So it looks a lot better. Johnny DRC, of course, he's saying he's still got 12 analog quads. Johnny DRC might have almost more drones than me. We'll have to find out sometime. Yeah. Frederick is saying YouTube has gotten me into it as well, but I have Integra goggles, trying to keep it kosher. Someone's saying HD Zero sucks. I don't know about that. Like it wouldn't, if it's just expensive, man. Like that's my biggest gripe with it. Looking at those. All right, let me check my email, see if there is a HD Zero announcement. No. So Chris, I haven't got your email, but let's see if there's any HD Zero news. Let's search for past 24 hours. I can't see anything yet. Trey is saying, why do people use HD Zero over analog? It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's like it has a few little extra features that you can do some really cool things, like talking to your VTX and like the 90 frames camera, and it does look a little bit better than analog. But that's about it for me. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I don't know, maybe racers want the lowest latency that they can, but yeah, they're all, I just want to fly around in the park with my friends, and these craft, like whether using the O3s, whether using the O4s, whether using Walksnail, I think the picture is like so much better that it just doesn't make sense for me to want to fly one of those. But I'm not a racer, so you know that's all. I'm guessing you're not a racer either, Trey. HD Zero has the analog module, but why? It looks the same. Like here's another thing, right? Here, get ready for something that I have changed my mind on and is completely overrated. We don't want modules when it comes to our goggles, especially analog ones anyway, because a lot of people would say, and I'm going to use these as an example. If I have to put a module in here and then I can pick up analog and go through the menu and select it, I am only buying that module if I already have analog drones sitting over there. If I don't have any analog drones, I don't need an analog module. But guess what? If I do have analog drones, chances are I've already got an analog set of goggles. So if I'm going to go fly analog, I'm not mucking around. I'm going to go buy a module. That's just stupid. I'll just take my Sky Zones or my On-Way Commanders or my Fat Shark. Whatever I previously had is what I will use. So I think the idea, it is like a fool's errand to chase the idea that we should be able to convert these and get analog and we should be able to have modules. I think that's dumb. unless you were coming in brand new and you're like, I want a system that can do everything. But that's like such a small part of the market. I don't think there's most of the pilots out there who are going to be buying a goggle are not buying it based on, like, they've already got a previous generation of goggles. So, all right. SOS is saying, funny, I spent $200 for 6 drones with Moonlight. That's crazy. That's pretty good price. You got 6 Moonlights for $200. And someone is saying, yeah, I know a few people who have dedicated analog goggles and dedicated digital goggles. Yeah, I think it's the way. There is an argument to be made, however, if you are upgrading and you want to go digital, I don't think that there is anything wrong with, say, putting a Walk Snail VRX on an analog goggle. If you're going forwards in the future and there's a way to save money and you're like, I want to try a digital system, let me upgrade my analog goggles, put a module in so then I can receive Walk Snail. That's a good choice. That's a good option because you don't have to buy a brand new goggle all the time. Every time you want to change systems. I do like that. It's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as, I just don't think that's a superior way to do it, but that option is valid. SOS is saying he sold all his analog gear. I remember when you were an Omway bloke. Yeah, I really liked it, Anthony. SOS is saying no spent that a piece. I don't know what you're trying to say there. So okay. I use an old set of Headplay V2s for my analog whoops. That is crazy. Okay, check this out, guys. We're not even going to be able to find these Headplays. There is nothing even in the DIY FPV catalog on Headplays, 1 or 2 words. Okay, so this is a box. This was a very good choice for a box goggle, the first box goggle, and it was probably in like 2016, 2017. So you're going back like 8 years. The Headplays were a huge, gigantic box goggle. They might have had HDMI in. I'm not too sure, but they were like, I'm not even kidding. They were 3 times the size of these. So it was like sitting with a TV that was off your face. And that was good because that meant you didn't get eye strain. And they had a huge like piece that sat across the top of your head, like the foam extended all the way out here, like a mohawk, a reverse mohawk. Yeah, I liked those goggles. I thought they were much better. The goggles that I didn't like, and here's a bit of hate as well, feel free to flame me in the comments. I never liked the EV800Ds. I felt like they were a gimmick to get people flying, and it sold the wrong impression of what FPV was like because they always hurt my eyes. I could never focus on them well. It always felt like I was cross-eyed. Yeah, they did the job, but it was just not a pleasurable flight experience. And anybody else, whenever I saw them recommend the EV800Ds, I just died a little bit inside, mate. I don't know what it was, but I just never liked them. If you're a really young pilot, at the time it was okay. For me, I just, my eyes couldn't. And that's one of the things. Like if you're not having a good time, if you can't focus and your eyes are hurting, you're not going to be having a good time flying around enjoying FPV. I would much prefer no eye strain and like a little bit of light leakage or a heavier goggle, whatever it's going to be. But as long as I can focus and my eyes aren't hurting, that's really important. There was actually a pair of goggles I called the nun goggles because it looked like I was wearing some old school 14th century nun cap or something. And those goggles, it was literally just a screen that hung off the front of your face. 100 times better than the EV800Ds. Johnny DRC is saying he loved mine. Maybe you got younger eyes than me, Johnny DRC. DJ, don't like other people. At least with my Walk Snail and Sky Zones, I can fly with other people. Yeah, so this is from Drones FPV, and he's making a comment how DJI doesn't fly well with other pilots, and you are correct there with the older generation. I think that has changed a lot, though. If you're going to go to race mode on the latest 04s and you can select which band, it's not perfect, but you have much more control over power level and which channel you want to operate on versus in the past when you would just wipe everybody out. So I agree there. And I think that is one advantage with HD0 and flying around with analog. It's very easy to set your frequency and tables and that sort of stuff. All right, let's move on. I would like to talk about, let's see, where are we? This drone right here. So this turned up. Let me get this on the screen. And I've never reviewed one of these actually, so it's going to be interesting. So this is the Darwin Cineape. Now it says it's compatible with the Parvo 20. Well, let's. Do I even have a flight controller in here? No, I do. Thank goodness. Okay, so I'm going to be flying this thing around, but I got mine without the. I don't know what the difference is in here. What is the difference between without the 04 Pro and without the 03 Pro? Nothing. I'm pretty sure there are the. Oh, maybe the plug. No, I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. So how much is this thing? Does it even have the price? Oh, right up here, 150 bucks. What batteries does it take? 3S500. Oh, I don't need a battery. Oh man, $117. Okay, what about if I don't even get spare propellers? $110. Okay, we'll have to see how it goes, actually. I mean, Darwin FPV is about as cheap as you can get. Does it come with a receiver? Don't tell me this doesn't even have a receiver. Okay, I have like the most budget version we can get. What is the full version? That's analog. Okay. All right, well, no, I don't have that one either. That's got receiver out the back. No receiver for me. Anyway, we're going to be testing this around, flying around with Stickman Steve. I don't think it's going to be amazing. It's definitely not going to be like the Starship, which I reviewed, or you will see a review of that coming up in just a little bit as well. But I mean, $109. That looks like you're getting some antennas there, but that's definitely not the case. I don't know what the story is with this one. And Darwin FPV has been known to make some really, really cheap stuff in the past. And believe it or not, I've never reviewed a Darwin FPV product. So this will be the first time that happens. And it feels pretty cheap, but like that doesn't really mean anything until it's actually up in the air flying it around. Yeah. All right, Jeff is saying HD or analog, and what goggles? What do you mean there? So educate me on the Cineape. What goggles do you need with that? Oh, okay. So if we're going to look here, this is a great example. So we have, if you're ever going to be buying a drone and you're like, man, what version do I get? I want to buy this drone. I want to buy the Cineape 20. Okay, but what do I actually need? Because there's so many different versions here. Battery is really self-explanatory. Propellers, same thing. Yeah, you're going to need some propellers. It's probably a good idea to get some spares if you don't have them. But right here, the things that you want to look at are the second. So here we've got two analog versions, which means these one will have an analog VTX right here. And the difference between these two, so you can see the price difference, analog and ELRS. So that's a bind and fly that is using an ELRS receiver. I wonder if it's built in. Okay, whereas this one, this is going to be putting a TBS receiver on there if you're going to be using Crossfire. Then we go down here and we have an 03 bind and fly. So that has, I've got one somewhere here on the floor. That has something like this in here, which is the 03 air unit. Now that's from DJI. So you need to have like either Goggles 3 or some of the older generation of DJI. This is not the current generation. That is the 03. Now you can also get that. Maybe you've got a bunch at home and because it's so much, look at the price difference, like $300 more. Maybe you don't want to buy a brand new VTX to put in here. You're going to use something from an older craft. So here you can buy the craft without the 03 inside. The difference between these two is nothing. I think that just puts there for people to be like, oh, I've got an 04. I would hazard a guess that is exactly the same and the price is exactly the same as well. And then you can have a look here. Now this is interesting. That must be the light. Yeah, okay. So now we've got this is a bind and fly, so it doesn't actually tell us what receiver, so it's pretty poor labeling. It should say ELRS because you don't know what receiver you're going to be binding up to, but it has an 04 in there, which is the latest generation, which is the same as like what I've got in this one. Now that would be binding up to my N3 goggles or the Goggles 3. If you want to do the race modes, there are some other options as well, like not the Goggles 2, but some of the other generations of DJI goggles. There's like a compatibility chart I'll put on the screen later if I ever edit this into a video what that will work with. And then you've got this is without the Pro, so that's nothing. And then you have the Pro version here as well. So that would be the same. These two are basically the same. So they will work with the latest generation. So analog, then you've got the O3s, which are the O3 right here. And then you've got the O4s. Now everything without is just like no camera system at all. Really interestingly though, check this out. The O3 version, $470. The O4 Pro version, $399. Like, this will be significantly better than that. So I don't know. And that's one of the benefits, I guess, of having the latest generation of goggles. If you had some of the older ones, like my old Goggles 1.5 or Goggles 2, I couldn't access this. Like, they only just hang on to be able to work with the O3s. Now, with the N4s, though, N3s, I should say, it can work with the O4s. I hate DJI's naming structure, can I just say? I wish they just called it something else, because when you've got like N3s and the N3 goggles and the O4s working with the Goggles 3 and the O3 goggles working with the DJI O3, but the O4s won't work with the goggles. Like, it's just confusing. I dislike DJI's naming structure. I'm sure other people. Someone's saying, what's bind and fly? Okay, sorry, Jeff. What's bind and fly? Yeah, bind and fly means it's going to have the receiver built in there for you. So this right here, that when I say ELRS bind and fly, you get your drone and all you've got to do is bind it up and you can go and fly. That's what that BNF means. Sorry, if that's what you meant. So all of these are bind and flies, but the stupid part, it doesn't actually tell you. I'm going to guess all of these are ELRS. They should all say ELRS like this top one does, but except for this one. This has a TBS receiver here as well. So that's what that means. Bind and fly if you have your own remote. Yeah, you bind it up to your radio and then off you go. You go and do some flying. That O4 is incredible. What is the payload weight of the Cineape? Asking for bros. I don't know. I'm not too sure what that is. You can read that right up anyway if you want to go there. But then finally, this is probably something that I saw. Oh, here's a big one that I do want to make this video. So sorry, I skipped over this part. This is the biggest let's try this again. This is the biggest lesson people need to learn when they're starting FPV. It's really dangerous and it's really important. If you're going to be starting the hobby tomorrow, don't get caught out. You need to educate yourself because disasters can happen. This is the biggest lesson I learned from Grumpy Trev, flying around with him for like 6 years before I moved away. Safety is absolutely paramount. So this video popped up and tell me, and I have to say, don't go hate this person because they obviously have learned their lesson and nothing went wrong, thankfully, but it is such a good example of what could happen. We just got lucky here. So, and look, I can show you that here where he's saying, but I understand this is a problem, lesson learned. Okay, so here we go. It's called First Time Flying with the DJI Air Unit. He almost had some problems, almost had to change his pants right here, almost popped his pants. I think anyway. But check this out. So, and look at this, we're flying a Cineape of all things. That's a strange segue. Cruising around, and look at the megabits. We're down. We're getting nothing. Oh no, we're back. We're back. So he's obviously punched the throttle there. That is just an example of how if you don't know your equipment or what you're doing, things can go wrong. Or even if you do know your equipment, do not fly over people, houses, and property, because I wonder what if you put it into a different mode here. It's weird all of his OSD is gone as well, so I don't know what's actually causing that. But if you have a look where he's flying, if we and we almost cut out just about here. So look, it's frozen. This is a road, right? If cars are going up here, the last thing you want is for it to go through a windscreen or somebody's window. You should never fly over people or property. Never fly over roads. I think it is really, really dumb. It's really, really dangerous. I don't condone it at all. And if you are testing out some, like this person saying first time flying with the air unit, if you are testing something for the first time, you need to learn the limitations of your drone. Go to a football field, go to a soccer pitch, go to a park where no one is around. Find a friendly farmer that you can fly around on his field, because you don't want to lose your drone. There are so many things that can go wrong, and you might roll your eyes and think that's never going to happen, but it's going to happen to someone. And you don't want to be the person that causes like pain and damage. And not only for like the hobby, people are going to hate you for, especially imagine if some laws and regulations came in that like banned it for everybody. But you also don't want to do that to somebody else. Maybe it was a kid on his way to school, or, you know, accidents happen. These are serious craft. Don't fly them over roads, because you're just being stupid, like without swearing. And I'm not saying that this pilot made a mistake and they are recognizing that, but I think there is a lot of people who rip around streets and everything that I think that is just, it's not the right thing to do. And I cannot advocate enough for, like, you don't need to do that. Like, no one appreciates that. It's not good. It is dangerous. It is unsafe. So if you are getting into the hobby and you want to get into FPV, it is great. It is so much fun, but you have better places to fly. Don't fly around people, property, or roads, because it's not on. It's not on. I'm here as an old grumpy man to tell you that we can do better. Don't do it. All right. Someone's saying flying around in the forest. Yeah. I think here too, like even some of these comments, check this out. And this is once again why we don't fly over other people's property. You got lucky this time. Maybe next time you smash into somebody's car. And someone said, you're right. I've now also set up GPS rescue, which is like, that's great, but still don't do it in the first place. Then other people talk, flying over land that's not yours can open up some legal doors. What else? Yeah, I mainly flew over my house and the forest behind it, mainly. But then look where the problem happened when you weren't flying over that place. So, all right. Like, and even the other day, like we had that idiot who crashed into the Palisade Fire's plane, or whatever was happening there, the firefighters' plane and stuff like that. So yeah, don't fly your drones around other people. But let's end on a positive, right? I'm just looking at the time here. I've forgotten to find my phone and check if my mum needs my help. I just want to say, if you are here, thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream. This is number 29, and I've got one really, really important message. You guys, truly, I want to say thanks for being here. And if you need to hear this today, it's important because you are valued and you are special. I know we say it week in, week out, but really, me talking right now, you can hear my voice just coming out of the speakers into your ears, and you think, he can't be talking to me. It doesn't, whatever. He's just rambling. No, I am. Now you're thinking about it. Okay. You are special. So thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. It is the best part of my working week, and I hope that you got something out of this as well, because FPV is an amazing hobby and we have an amazing community, and I'm proud to have you as part of the UAVFutures family and part of the FPV community as well. So I truly am saying thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. All right. That's going to do it for today's stream, guys. Someone saying, love what you do. Keep up the good work. Tank is saying, I saw a video of a newbie that built his first drone with zero experience. That was funny. Dude was definitely a danger to himself in the neighborhood, and he almost did test his 5-inch inside his house. Yeah, this is maybe that barrier to entry is not always a bad thing. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Get out there, get flying. If you haven't joined DIY FPV yet, what are you doing? Go and do it, because it is single-handedly the best website for drones on the internet. There's a lot of stuff coming, not only because it's like my project that I've been working on, but I know a lot of people who truly get some value out of that. It is going to help the community. Subscribe for more FPV related content. And as always, happy flying. DRC. You didn't have to send through that super chat, brother. I was just about to click the end, and I want to say thank you. Thanks, man. You didn't have to do that, but cheers. Thank you for sending that through. You're a legend. With or without the super chat, I truly appreciate you being here every single week. All right, I'll see you next week, mate, and also on the videos. We've got some cool ones coming this week. Cheeky devil. Oh my god, guys, what's going on? This video was just removed. Like, sorry. You know that video we just watched of like me saying, "Hey, don't do this." Like, look at this. I just press refresh. This post has been removed by the mods. Oh, okay. It shows unsafe flying and reckless endangerment. All right. I feel like it would be better. So look, I'm not telling Reddit what to do, but I feel like this would be better of like, if we look at what is happening, that's a perfect example to educate people rather than just delete the post. I don't know. There's an option to educate and make our hobby better there. That's crazy. That was deleted right as we watched it. Anyway, if you want the full video, check out the channel. I am actually going this time, but